Well, we're going to get started. For those of you, friends who were not able to attend tonight, we are recording this, or if you liked it so much, you can watch it again at home. Online, we'll be sending out the links. But thanks for making it out this evening. And we have a full presentation of all the different options your student has as they think about their 11th grade year. So, theme, and we continue to come back to, is connecting the dots. Every year, that plan gets 1 year older and closer to graduation, and the students figure out what are those options. Really, as you look at 11th grade, there are lots of options. When you're here as a ninth grade family, incoming ninth grade family, you heard some of the same information, a little bit shorter amount, and really at the end of the day, you look at the ninth grade schedule, and there are not that many choices. 10th grade, the door opens a little bit. Really, when you get to the last 2 years, there are lots of opportunities and lots of time within the schedule to figure out what are those opportunities and what are those right programs for your student. So, come back to always the 4 A's of our high school. Tonight our focus will really be around the academics. I would highlight tomorrow, however, is the activities fair, the second semester activities fair. So if your student is not involved with something or not found a club, many clubs will be out in the commons tomorrow during lunches for their students to connect with other students to learn about those different clubs. Talk often about our core values within the school and how we work together. Our culture, my work with that is really one of the highest priorities. We come back and the 10th graders have some opportunities to connect yet this spring around our values of respect and standing up for respect in what we do. So we come back to our values often. I also encourage as they enter into their 11th grade year to think about how are they serving the greater good. And I just share with you this photo here on the right-hand side of the screen is a junior named Jay, and he looked last summer saying, I'd really like to have a TEDx talk. And he worked and put it together, and this November it took place. We had a variety of speakers talking about how do you overcome adversity. And when he shared the message with the participants and those in the audience, he said, this really is in response to the question that we ask as a school is, how will I serve the greater good? How will I help others out? And we come back to that message. So I hope the year's been positive so far. If you have any questions at the end, please let me know. Tonight is really around the academics. And if you look at this chart with a lot of words on it, I'd come to each box with just one word. The first box in the upper left is around relationships. Our number one goal as a building is student-teacher relationships. If that's not taking place, learning really isn't going to happen. So relationships. 2, making sure every classroom is engaging. And the third box on the right is our purpose this evening, is helping students find their passion. And that's our goal as a school, is how do we help find that passion? Sometimes it's finding out what's not their passion. They might say, I'm really interested in this. They take a course and they realize, that's not what I want to do. Well, it's better to learn that here when you're not paying for it than two years down the road. So helping students find their passion. Every year we add more opportunities, and tonight we'll share some of those new opportunities with you. Obviously the goal leads to this moment at graduation, 22.5 credits. And tonight we'll continue to talk about that path leading toward that moment. So with that, I'm going to bring up Teresa Exenberger, one of our counselors, to talk about some of the options. Then you'll hear from a variety of program leaders about their programs and things that they're going to share with you. There are lots of student presentations coming up the next few weeks. So if you check your emails or on the website, there are lots of chances for students to learn from other students about the different courses. But with that, I'll bring up Teresa Exenberger to give an overview of the requirements for 11th grade. Thank you.
All right, as Mr. Erickson said, I'm Teresa Exenberger. I'm one of the counselors. And one of the things that we are showing is we're starting with this slide tonight is really being able to take a look at this quote and having an idea that for students, being able to decide how successful your experience at high school is going to be really does have to do with how much you put into creating it and how you're utilizing your resources, whether you're using your counselors or your mentors or your family and your teachers to be able to help you decide the best path that's going to work for you and making sure that you are choosing courses and things that are going to be able to help you get to where you would like to go once we're done. So starting with this, we're looking at actually setting the course. What does that look like from an academic standpoint? We have a number of different programs that are available to students that really sort of come online for them as they go into their 11th grade year. And so IB is our International Baccalaureate program. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later. We have Laura Herbst who's here who will touch on that for you. There's definitely, as far as AP goes, we have had courses in 9th and 10th grade that have been possibilities for them to be able to work with those AP courses. That continues to be a piece as they go into 11th and 12th grade. Research is also something that's now going to be part of their curriculum, or opportunities for them to be able to get into that. And we also have Kim Haney, who's going to talk to you about their research possibilities as we move a little bit forward, so I'm going to let her do that. We also have our Tonka Online, and Tonka Online really takes on a different view in 11th grade because students have a lot more flexibility within their classes and within their schedules to be able to build it in as even part of their day if they wish to be able to do that, and so we'll touch on those opportunities a little bit more. We've got Vantage, who's here tonight also, that's going to talk about all the different strands and pieces that are available to them. They're thinking it's really a great program that incorporates being off-site and looking at all of those options, and so we'll talk more about that. And certainly our Minnetonka immersion program, many of your students are already part of that. So we're just going to continue to talk about what their options are from that piece as well. As we talk about the number of credits that they need to have, the 22.5 credits is a number that we talk to them about always, that these are the credits that you need to make sure that you have in terms of graduation. As counselors, we work with them to make sure that we're keeping an eye on that overall view and making sure that they have those 22.5 credits, not only that they have the total number, but that they have them in the right places. I was talking to some of the students at the middle school today, and one of the things that I said was it's not just 22.5 random credits, it's 22.5 credits in a certain spot. So we need to make sure that we get those in those right locations. With that being said, obviously the state of Minnesota has some requirements and things that we want to make sure we have, and this is where we're talking about making sure that those 22.5 credits actually fall in the right places. And things like English. English is one of those classes you need to have all 4 years, and so we always say to them, if you don't have English on your schedule, we probably need to double check that. That's one that needs to be there. So definitely making sure that that's part of their curriculum all 4 years. Social studies runs a little bit different in the sense that social studies is a 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, generally full year class, and then during their senior year they have some flexibility of being able to do it for just a semester if they would like. For math classes, we have the 3-year requirement where they did it in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. Traditionally, many of our students will go on and do 4 years of math classes as they're deciding that they want to make sure they have all the skills they have as they step on to the next part of their academic journey. And so definitely we have many, many students that decide to do 4 years, but definitely the 3 years is something that's a requirement. And science falls into that same category. Now, students need to do 3 years of science. Their 3 years of science does need to include 1 year of either chemistry or physics and 1 year of biology. So we want to make sure not only do they have at least 3 years of science, but that those are included in there. And then definitely most of our students are utilizing some of those other opportunities, whether it's a Vantage strand that has a science piece to it or a research piece for that 4th year of science. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the types of courses that are actually offered to students throughout their 11th grade year. Generally speaking, we have our traditional 11th grade English course, which is for those that have done 9th grade English and 10th grade English G, or maybe our college prep English class. That English 11 continues along those same lines. And then we have the AP Language and Composition class. We also have some IB classes that are coming online that are talking about the SL, which are the year-long courses. And then there's the HL course, which is part of the IB program. And I'll let Laura talk a little bit more about the differences of how those work. But definitely having students be able to take their courses as either individual IB courses or as part of the program in general. And then we have 2 different Vantage strands that offer an English component with them. So as students are thinking that maybe they want to take advantage of Vantage and they're trying to figure out within that 6-period day, how are they going to fit their classes in, our global business and our digital journalism strand actually have an English component built into them. When we look at social studies, we know that we have those 3 years of social studies, and at some point throughout their high school career, they need to do a world history or a European history component to be able to meet our Minnesota state standards. And so as we're looking at this, some students, depending on how things are going, most of our students will take those courses during 11th grade. So they're actually taking world history or European history. Some students decide as they're utilizing the Vantage strands, and perhaps they're doing that during a junior year, the social studies courses that are built into these strands tend to meet the senior component for social studies, and so those students then would take that world history or European history component during their senior year. So they have the ability to be able to switch the position of that, but just knowing that that's a component that we want to make sure is built into their schedule as they're looking at their entire four-year plan. As we talk about math, math is a little bit more straightforward for students in some cases because it's built on the course that they're currently taking. And so we're encouraging them really to be able to talk to their math teachers, because we as counselors, as much as we love to support them and give them as much advice as we possibly can, are not teaching them math, and they're not doing homework for us. And so making sure that they actually have some good feedback on what would be the best possible choice for them. And definitely, again, as we talk about and get into some of these Vantage strands and things like that, there are strands that have math components built into them. So as junior year comes in, this is where they have some flexibility of where they're actually going to put classes in. What does it look like? How is it actually put together? How can I do that off-site piece if I want to and still be able to meet all of those components that I need to for those 22.5 credits? And that brings us to science. Science, traditionally for students, this is where that biology piece comes. And biology is a little different than maybe the other science classes that they've done in high school. They came in and many of our students either did physics in 9th grade or they did physical science in 9th grade, which brought math into their component of science. And so they've really worked on that piece. Many of them have gone on and done chemistry this year as 10th graders. And so biology is going to take it back a little bit more into the world of memorization, a little bit more of reading and memorizing, and sometimes students are like, whoa, wait, where did the math go? Like, I loved science because it had math in it, and now it went away. And so being able to look at that as they're choosing their levels of biology and which classes they want to do and that balance of what they're doing, maybe they want to take a look at all the different options that we have. We're fortunate that we have 4 different options for biology. All of them meet any sort of college entrance requirement that they would ever need. And so it doesn't matter which one they take. They want to take the one that feels like it's the best fit, that's challenging them and moving them forward, but still staying and making sure that they have that biology component. Now, as we're talking about the Vantage strands, again, both of those Vantage strands have different science components. One of them has a human anatomy class built into it. One of them has an AP environmental science class built into it. That's completely fine to be able to take those Vantage strands, but we need to make sure that we build biology in somewhere into that 4-year plan. So it could be for them in the world of science that maybe they're doing Vantage their junior year and they're building biology into their senior year. Or depending on how their schedules are put together, it could be that they would do biology and their Vantage strand at the same time. So that's really an individual discussion, and it could be a family discussion, a teacher discussion, perhaps a counseling discussion, figuring out how that actually fits together and what it looks like. Brings us to the world of world language. Many of our students as juniors start to ask the question of, do I need to take that 3rd year of world language? I've got year 1 and year 2 in 9th and 10th grade. Do I need to do a 3rd year of world language? We strongly encourage students to continue to do their world language and to build off of those skills, because a lot of our colleges are saying, yes, 2 years is an admission requirement. 3 years is highly recommended. Some students choose to do 4 because they enjoy it that much. But this is really their opportunity to take a look at that and make some of those decisions. A number of our students will be able to either decide they're going to do a 3rd year. Some of our students that maybe have made other choices in 9th and 10th grade have the opportunity to make sure that they're doing a world language in 11th and 12th grade, so they have those 2 years if they're thinking that they would like that 4-year entrance requirement to be met. So being able to do that, we'll talk a little bit more about all of our options from the immersion standpoint too, and what that looks like in 11th and 12th grade. I'm going to touch on art in our next slide, and I've got another slide that talks about PE, so I'll just touch briefly on the health component. Health continues to be embedded for our students, so it's the one piece, as I was telling our students today, you don't actually have to schedule that one. That one actually ends up in there for you, and so that's a nice piece, is that they're going to actually have that built in across all 4 years. As we look at the Tonka Online piece, and we'll talk more and be able to hear some stories from student voice about their Tonka Online experiences, but the nice piece, especially as an 11th grader, is that Tonka Online can offer, again, some flexibility and the ability to be able to maybe learn some things in some classes from a slightly different philosophy of learning and studying. So being able to do that and to have a wide range to be able to play with that. Brings us to that arts component. Our students always get a little bit worried. They know they have to do an entire year of art. Some of them went ahead and took care of it right away in 9th grade, and they've got it all done. Some of them have done it in 9th and 10th grade, and they're good to go. Some of them are still very, very concerned about the fact that they have to do a whole credit of art, and oh my gosh, I still can't draw that picture of fruit. Like somebody told me that's what I need to do. The nice part is that they have options, many, many options within our arts classes itself. We also have design classes within family and consumer ed that they can be able to do some art pieces. Our theater classes are available, and those are falling under some of our English pieces. Music continues to be part of it. We have some technology classes, and also some of our Vantage strands offer them some opportunities to be able to meet that art component as well. There again comes our Tonka Online piece, and that's the really nice part for them as well, is that sometimes it offers them some flexibility to be able to do those art components over the summer if they think they want to do that, or again, to be able to build it into their day. All right, Jim. PE still has the 2 components. We needed a full year of PE, and we have the 2 halves of that. There's a part A, which is a fitness component of PE, and there's a wellness component of PE. We encourage our students that they need to have 1 from each category to be able to meet our requirements for graduation. And so again, some of our students have already taken care of those pieces. Some of our students are now trying to figure out where they're going to put it and how it's going to fit in there. We do have some online options from that too, so that they can get both of those pieces in. We do have some students that are thinking about doing something along the lines of a PE waiver. If they think about doing a PE waiver, which is a contract with Mr. Erickson for 85 hours of activity, they do need to make sure that they have 6 classes for all 4 years. So sometimes students are thinking during 11th and 12th grade that they maybe have the ability to have that open hour they've been waiting for 2 years. And if they decide to do a PE waiver for the second half of that requirement, they do need to make sure that they have 6 classes all 4 years that they're here. And again, that talks about our health piece. We need 6.5 credits of electives. Students often are like, ooh, where is that coming from? Definitely their world language classes that they've taken are counting towards those 6.5 credits of electives, and a lot of the coursework and things that they're doing during their senior year, even from an academic component, math, science, some of those are working towards those 6.5 credits. And as counselors, we sit down and make sure that we help them understand exactly what that looks like and how they can meet those requirements. We have a number, as with every year, we have a number of courses that are coming online and that are being created for us. We're always looking for new ideas and ways to be able to help our students reach their goals that they're looking for. And so we have a different art class that's coming on. We have an additional computer science class in the world of cybersecurity, which is always a good thing. And then we've got a differential equations and linear algebra class. We have a new strand of Vantage that has been developed. We have a few Tonka Online classes are being added. And then, of course, in the world of AP, we have an AP Studio Art class that's happening, and we've got a few different changes that are happening to IB, and I'll let Laura talk a little bit more about those. This is maybe one of my favorite slides because it gives the students an idea to be able to see all the different options that are there. But at the same time, we understand that this slide can sometimes be a little overwhelming. It's the ability to be like, oh gosh, if I don't do all of the things on them, I'm missing something somehow. And the question is really no. And we work with them to understand that that path that we talked about in those quotes at the beginning really is their path and their journey and their ability to create this and put this together. And so we have many different ways for them to be able to do that. And the counselors always work to help them figure out which one is the best fit for them. Project Lead the Way is another opportunity that started right away in 9th grade for them. They had some pre-engineering programs and courses that were available to them, and architecture and design classes. A number of these classes also help meet that arts requirement, so if they're thinking about doing some of those or they have already done them, being able to talk to their counselor about whether or not that has happened. There's also potentially some college credit based on some exams that can happen, and so definitely making sure that they're communicating with us about that piece. Which brings us to the world of international studies. International studies is a really great opportunity for our students to be able to work with students from all over the globe. We have 10 different opportunities for students to be able to work with students and to be able to learn with them, and to do that, those classes meet every other week before school. It is a year-long commitment though, because we are asking them that they are actually working with a student from another location, and we want to make sure that we're fulfilling our requirements to them. But the really nice part about this is that many of these programs actually have opportunities to travel to those places once they've actually completed their study. With that being said, I am going to hand this over to Laura Herbst, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about our AP opportunities.
All right, yes, I'm Laura Herbst. I'm the Advanced Learning Coordinator. I'm going to highlight a couple benefits and ideas when considering advanced coursework, of which you've seen there's a lot. Some of your students may have already taken advantage of some AP classes in 9th or 10th grade. If not, there are still a lot to choose from over the next 2 years. We have 31 AP classes. The idea of an AP course is that the setup is supposed to look like an experience of an entry-level college class. So it's a faster pace, it covers a lot of material, and then there is an end-of-course exam, an AP exam in May that students take, and that gives them some potential for college credit, and it's part of the preparation of the course throughout the year. Now that your student is looking into 11th and 12th grade, IB courses are available to them. They were not available to 9th and 10th graders. It's for 11th and 12th grade only. We have what's called the IB Diploma Program, which is a 2-year comprehensive program that students can do. If they don't want to do the whole program, they can take individual IB courses based on their interest areas. But really the power of IB comes in students completing the full diploma program. And the idea of IB is that it's rigorous college preparatory work, but it goes much more in depth beyond academics. So the setup of the courses really encourage students to learn how to be critical thinkers and globally minded, so that they're able to see how they fit and what they're learning fits in the larger context of the whole world. And through course discussions and what they're learning in the different subject areas, students really learn how to take information and synthesize it and create their own arguments and then communicate that verbally and in written form. And we do, if you want to learn more about the full diploma program, there is a recorded webinar that we completed last Friday. It's available online. We're also going to have an information meeting next Tuesday, the 12th at 6 p.m. where I'll go into much greater detail about the diploma program and what the requirements are. And then there will be a student panel too of current diploma candidates to speak to their experience and share why they think it's a good fit for them. We do, choosing classes for 11th grade is really exciting because there are so many advanced course opportunities and options. The vast majority of our students do take advantage of AP and IB coursework. Last year, the class of 2018, almost 84% of them took at least one AP or IB course. And as your students are choosing classes for next year, we encourage them to consider that. If they haven't taken an advanced course, we would like to help them find, when appropriate and what makes sense for them, a class where they can stretch themselves a little bit, an area that they might have a special interest in or feel particularly strong in. And that's for a number of reasons. For one, the AP and IB courses hold additional weight. It's a weighted grade. So students who earn a B in an AP or an IB course, that is on the 4.0 scale, typically worth 3 points towards the GPA. In an AP or an IB course, it's actually worth 4. And then based on how the students perform on an AP or an IB exam, universities tend to award college credit or advanced standing. And that looks different for every university, but it's very typical for students to walk out of high school into whatever college they go to with credit already on their college transcript or placement into a higher level course. But beyond that, we really want students to have that experience in high school where it makes sense for them so they get the practice in a supportive environment. Because these courses offer students the opportunity to learn how to manage their time if they don't have that skill, and really learn at high levels and prepare them for whatever it is that they're going to pursue after high school. And that looks and feels very different doing that in high school, where they have the benefit of a writing center and tutors and math tutors and their teachers that they see every day and their counselors. There's a lot of supports here for them to find success and figure out what doesn't work and what does work for them. And that's very different than when they're at a university doing that for the first time, paying tuition, and without that support network of a high school. With that in mind, coming soon, this August, we're going to have our inaugural launch. Strategies for success, particularly for students who are taking an AP or an IB course for the first time. We want to ensure that we're front-loading some of those skills that we know are needed for taking advanced coursework. So helping students start the year off having time management and stress management and knowing, that I have to put things in a calendar and I have to manage my time with everything else that's going on in their lives. So more information will follow for students who are taking advanced coursework and registering for those classes, but just wanted you to know that is coming for this summer to help support students in starting off their junior year strong. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Kim Haney, the Director of Minnetonka Research.
Thank you. Just to start off with a short video from a student perspective of what Minnetonka Research is all about. Minnetonka Research is a program where students are able to pursue areas of interest that they have.
All you need to do well and enjoy research is just to be really interested in something. We develop our own kind of project and then work on this throughout the entire year.
The relationship between hormone relaxin and female injuries in female athletes.
Food allergies, more specifically how to diminish the allergic response or inhibit it.
Engineering mesenchymal stem cells, and then we attach gold nanoparticles to them to essentially attack tumors within the body.
A continuation of my project from last year, which is developing autonomous drones to fly into buildings and generate three-dimensional maps of them for search and rescue and other purposes.
So based upon what they're interested in and what they're curious about, they'll design an experiment that'll go through the proposal phase. They have professional mentors to be able to help them with some of the technical aspects as well as the communication pieces along the way. And then they get to perform that experiment, look to see what they expect is going to happen, but then see what really does happen and do the analysis of that and draw some conclusions.
I think that one of my biggest takeaways from research is the connections that I've made, like the connection with my mentor, the connection with the postdocs at my lab. It's really dealing with things in a professional manner.
How to proceed in the adult or in scientific or just professional world. It's like a year-long capstone project in that I've learned how to talk to adults and communicate, writing emails all the time.
I have spent my lunchtime in research just to get things done because it's a quiet space. It's a great environment. We get the freedom to create our own course. We can research what we want.
I think it's really exciting to be able to pursue something that I'm passionate about and really make the experience my own and kind of pursue things at my own pace and learn about the things that I want to learn about. It's really rewarding to apply all the things that I've learned throughout my, not even just high school, but even before that, and apply it towards something that I can really own and say, like, I did this. And it's something that's unique and, contributing to the scientific knowledge.
So as the students talked about, Minnetonka Research is really an opportunity for students who want to dive deep into really anything that they're interested in and follow that research process to be able to learn more at their pace within the framework of the course. This is a 1 hour course that is 2 semesters long, so 1 hour out of their 6-period day for the entire year. And the prerequisite is that they've taken an AP or IB science course and passed the exam, or they've taken an AP or an IB class to pass the exam in an area that would support their research that they might be interested in. So obviously we do have a lot of science projects in chemistry and biology, astronomy, physics, engineering, but we also have a political science project occurring this year. We have some people looking at some marketing, some statistics, and we have a couple students who are really passionate about music, and so they've taken that research process to investigate something that relates to their music passion as well. So if they like to learn, they're self-directed learners, they can work within a framework, they really get to dive deep into what they want to study. There are 4 main skills and domains that we try to focus on in the research course. The first one is content knowledge. So really diving deep and learning about the content in the area of their research that they're interested in, reading background research, literature reviews, talking to professionals, professors at different academic universities to really learn about that content. They can dive and go at their pace. So if they really want to dive deep and go far, they can do that. And so as Partha mentioned, content knowledge is really important. Second is the research process. How do you decide what your question is going to be, doing that background research, writing a proposal, having to look at a timeline for the entire year of how you're going to accomplish the goals that you've set out for yourself, reflecting on your goals on a weekly basis, setting goals for the next week is a really big part of the process. Working with the instructors as well as the mentors that they're connected with from across the world actually is a really big part of that research process that we go through with the students. The third thing would be professional skills. So communicating in a professional manner, your time management, your self-discipline, your motivation is another key component of the course. And then the last one is communication. It's amazing to see how the communication skills of these students increases from day 1 until the end of the year. That starts with the proposal writing and having to write in a scientific manner. And then we do elevator speeches. They have lots of opportunities to go out and present at different places, perhaps in the labs of their mentors at the universities, sometimes at just different events that they have opportunities to speak at. They also then will also write a scientific paper at the end of the year as a research article that we publish in our research journal, Minnetonka Research Journal. And they will present a poster at the end of the year at our Minnetonka Symposium. So communication, both written and speaking, is a really important and vital part of that coursework as well. We do have some information sessions coming up Thursday night. We have a lab open house at 6 o'clock here, right upstairs in the research lab. Open house, come up and talk to students and instructors, see what it's about. And then we have an information session at 6:45 down in the forum with some more details about the course and what that entails. We have a couple massed open houses coming up as well as a webinar. And so if you check out the website, you can see those upcoming events. I'm going to turn it over to Roger for some Vantage info.
So if you didn't look at the Journal of Minnetonka Research on the way in, check it out on the way out. The great thing about that book is that you can't understand 95% of it, so you know those students are doing cool work. So I'm the director of Vantage. My name's Roger Andre. I'm going to start with a video showcasing our students and their experiences.
What is Vantage?
Vantage is professional.
Vantage is off campus.
Vantage is real world.
Choose a strand. Digital journalism.
Business analytics.
Business in a global economy.
Health sciences.
Global food sustainability, economics, and the environment.
Design and marketing.
Guest instructors will give you their real world insights.
You'll be connected to industry professionals in the fields of your choice. Vantage is a real world immersive learning experience.
Get a personal mentor to guide your learning. My mentor works at Optum Health. Then work on real projects for the companies you could work for someday.
Like Best Buy, Target, Cargill, Valley Fair, SunOpta, and Medica, just to name a few.
I help develop marketing materials for an upcoming realty company.
How would you like to add that to your college application?
Vantage has options for Chinese and Spanish immersion, para incluir a todos.
Vantage is helping me bring my Chinese to the next level.
Vantage 帮我的中文带到下一个级别。
What is Vantage? Vantage is opportunity.
See if a career strand is right for you before college.
Vantage has helped us develop our own company, a consignment-based resale store.
Vantage is taking what we know to the next level.
Vantage is life.
And it's waiting for you.
New skill. My wife always tells me to try and find the dark spot on the stage because she says I look a lot better when the lighting's not good. And there really isn't one here, so I'm going to stand in the light. Vantage is a very complex program, and it takes a while to figure it out. So if you're confused, that's normal. We incorporate a lot of experiential learning activities, and the most important one is in the lower right-hand corner, business projects, and it should just be projects because a lot of them are business projects, but some of them are not. We work with nonprofits, and we do work in the health sciences that isn't business related. So students do a couple of projects during the course of the year. They work on teams when they do that. Every student at Vantage gets a mentor, and they manage a relationship with that mentor over the course of the year. And unlike the mentors at Minnetonka Research, our mentors are much more life coaches. They're adults out in the professional world, and they tell our students about the different things they need to get better at if they're going to be successful out in the professional world. We have 7 different strands, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and all those strands incorporate 2 or 3 classes, and they're taught by anywhere between 2 and 4 teachers, depending which strand you're in. And all those teachers team teach. They come from different departments in the high school, so we combine science with social studies or English with art. And those teachers from different departments team teach, and they create a cohesive experience around the theme of the strand. And I'll show you the titles of the strands. So in the upper left, we incorporate a lot of guest instruction. We have outside experts who come in and talk about their field of expertise. Some strands have a guest instructor every week. Some strands have a guest instructor monthly. It depends. There's a lot of variety in that. Our students say it's much more interesting to learn about broadcast journalism from Kim Inslee and Jennifer Mayerly than it is from their teacher. They love their teacher. But it's really fun to hear about the real world experience of professionals working in that environment. And when those professionals come into Vantage and talk to our students as guest instructors, they connect what their world is to the curriculum of the strand. So it really creates a very powerful, authentic learning experience for students. And those are the main site visits and events. We do a lot of going to a place and seeing what happens there. And again, that's very different by strand. Digital journalism just went to Harvard Broadcasting in KARE 11. Our global sustainability strand is going to be going to the St. Paul wastewater facility and to a recycling center because they're transitioning into waste and water systems right now. So you go see all these things because that's the most interesting way to learn about that, is to go see it in action. And events, we have an HR day coming up where our students will sit in front of a panel of HR experts and ask questions about how they're going to get a job at some point in life. And then they ask questions about interviewing, and then they do a mock interview with somebody from an HR department in a company. They get their resume reviewed, and that's an example of one of our events. So all of these things combined that you see up there to create this very real, authentic learning experience for the students. You have 2 decisions to make at Vantage. One is Vantage right for my student? And the second decision is which Vantage strand or strands are right for my student. So a lot of our students come back. All of our strands are available to juniors and seniors. I think we have about 45 seniors this year who took it last year as a junior, which is a real testament to the strength of the experience because it's very hard to fit this into your schedule as a Minnetonka High School student with all the great choices you have at the high school. To take 2 Vantage strands is challenging, but a lot of our students make that priority for them. All the strands are half-day, AM or PM. Some of them are 2-period strands. Some of them are 3-period strands. You leave the high school for either the morning or the afternoon and come to the Vantage, one of our 2 facilities where we operate the program, and engage in this learning experience. Down on the bottom, you can see our new strand for next year, user experience design. It's a combination of AP, Comp Sci, and interface design. It's a new art class. And that strand for the first time is available to sophomores. All of our other strands are available to juniors and seniors. I'm going to stop there one more time. Some people have the impression that Vantage is very business oriented, and several of our strands are very business oriented, but it is not a business program. Some of our strands are not business oriented. So digital journalism is the world of broadcast journalism. It's storytelling through media. Health sciences is the world of health sciences, and it doesn't focus on the business side of that at all. We don't do much with Optum. We do much more with Children's Hospital and the Cadaver Lab, and they go out and see what the professions are in the world of health sciences, not so much the business side. Global sustainability is a combination of AP environmental studies and global economics, and it's much more about all of the components that come together in the AP environmental studies class and focus on sustainability. So why do we do Vantage? Other than to provide a really enriching experience for our students, we are trying to set our students up to go out into the next place they're going to go, which is for many of them an academic environment, but eventually a professional work environment, and to have the right set of skills to go excel in those environments. And those skills that we're trying to build in our students are leadership, professionalism, teamwork, effective communication, and problem-solving / critical thinking skills. And all of the activities that we do at Vantage are designed to reinforce and build these 5 skills. And it's really fun to watch the transformation that students go through from the beginning of the year to the end of the year as they go through all these experiences and these things happen and they walk out the door at the end of the year very confident and much more comfortable with all these skills than they were when they started in the program. So give Vantage a look. We'll be outside. If you have questions afterwards, we have a lot of programs to help you make the decisions about which strands are right. They're all unfolding in the next couple of weeks, so if you want to go deeper and get a better understanding, go to the Vantage website and find out when the events are. You can also just reach in. We'll answer your questions one-on-one if you want. And the most powerful thing for your student to make this decision is to talk to a Vantage student. So you saw some of them up there. Find any student who's in Vantage and get on the phone with them for 5 or 10 minutes and ask your student to do that, and that will really help them make the right decision. Thank you.
All right, welcome, hello, Mr. Gibbs and Mr. Standerson. We're going to talk a little bit about Tonka Online, which is our digital learning platform. Something that I've been thinking about as I think about this registration season for our upcoming juniors is really this goal of helping our juniors find their passion, challenge themselves as learners, and maximize their high school experience. So you've heard a lot about the different programs that we offer here at Minnetonka High School. The way I think about Tonka Online is it's an opportunity for students to fit those programs or those learning opportunities into their schedule. And it's also an opportunity for students to insert some flexibility in their academic schedule. What's compelling about Tonka Online from the student perspective is they really get to work on their timeline, in their space, and at their pace. And with our Tonka Online programming, it's a unique experience in that they're learning through a digital platform using Schoology, using their iPads or other technology, but they have access to a Minnetonka Schools teacher. And so the instruction is digital, but the learning experience is based here at the high school, and so they have access to their teachers for academic support, for feedback, and I think it really enhances the way that students engage in their learning and having that connection and that relationship to their teacher here at the high school. Mr. Standerson is going to talk a little bit more about what we offer and what the student experience is. But what I would like to point out is if you're interested in online learning and perhaps building some Tonka Online courses into your student schedule, we will be offering a webinar tomorrow at noon for folks that may be able to break away from their work or their responsibilities during the lunch hour, and then at 6 p.m. That webinar will be recorded, so you have the opportunity to go back and review it or perhaps review it with your student. But really we want to point out Tonka Online as an opportunity for students to maximize their high school experience and insert some flexibility into their schedule.
All right, great. Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Thank you. My name is Ben Steinerson, and I work here as a coordinator in the Tonka Online program, and I help support the teachers. I'm also a science teacher and teach an online course as well. And I just wanted to share a little bit more about some of the Tonka Online experiences and some of the things as future 11th graders, what you can kind of look for to maybe, as Mr. Gibbs had said, make your schedule a little bit more flexible for those students that are taking advantage of a lot of the great opportunities that we have here at the high school. So a couple things I wanted to highlight in particular is kind of looking through some of our course listings. And as you are looking through the Skipper log and are kind of planning out some of the coursework that's coming ahead, please do look at some of the 11th grade offerings. It's the time where the Tonka Online courses really take advantage of core classes. We have English 11, for example, general biology. We have some great choices in social studies, among others. So please take some time to look to see how those courses might fit in with your child's schedule holistically to maximize some of that scheduling. The thing that is also really great is we feel that we can provide a truly online learning experience for high school students in a really supportive environment. A lot of the things and the feedback that we get about our online program relate to how the teachers have been giving informative feedback about their students' work, but also how they've been supportive in that learning process. And there are different requirements for success in an online course. You have to be better at managing your time or knowing some of those ways, and the teachers really acknowledge that and are supportive in that process. So as you notice, we have some strong numbers in terms of enrollments of the AP courses that are taken online. We are scoring at a higher average than the state average, and we are reporting a positive learning environment in these online courses, which we really continue to grow and continue to grow that experience. So as Mr. Gibbs mentioned, we have some more information coming out in our webinars, but also please take some time to look at our Tonka Online website. And there's a lot of more details about the courses in particular, both summer and offerings during the school year. Thank you for your time, and we want to end today with a short video from a student's point of view in terms of Tonka Online.
My name is Sam Dahl, and I'm a Tonka Online student. I chose Tonka Online because it gave me more flexibility in my schedule and the ability to prioritize things. I learn best when I am able to create my own schedule. Because I took a Tonka Online course, I was able to fit more courses into my schedule. Tonka Online allowed me to continue my experience in the band program as well as with the Minnetonka Research program this year. In the future, I plan to program similar style courses to the Tonka Online program in college. I'm Sam Dahl, and I'm a Tonka Online student.
All right, thank you. Hopefully that gives you just a little bit of a flavor of who a Tonka Online student might be and who is a good fit for. And we encourage you to take a look at those opportunities. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Freya Schermacher. I'm an assistant principal here at the high school, and I work closely with the immersion program. So I just want to take a few moments to talk about some of the options and opportunities for students as they enter their junior year. Kind of along the lines of the entire switch to your junior year, there are a lot of options. I don't know if you had a chance to pick up this handout in the entryway. This is just a brief kind of visual. If you look at 10th grade, the options that you have, this is just in language arts, and then the jump to 11th grade. So there's significantly more choices, and I'm just going to show Chinese as well. So the two things really to think about, or the many things to think about as you move on to the junior year, is electives. The elective options increase significantly. I'm just going to switch over here. And a couple thoughts about IB. You can pursue the IB diploma program as an immersion student. You could have a bilingual or regular diploma. You may want to take other electives. We have IB Global Politics. We have Chinese and Spanish film courses, conversation and composition, many other options in your junior year. And the other option is Vantage. Immersion students can choose to continue their language development in Vantage. Vantage is not an immersion program, but they can pursue their target language embedded in the Vantage, certain Vantage strands. So those are just some things to think about. I'm going to go back one. I just want to point out those key registration dates. On Thursday, students will be talking with their teachers about registration opportunities. We have a webinar coming up on February 22nd where we'll be going in much more detail, and also at the curriculum fair you can join us to learn from the immersion teachers what opportunities your students will have as juniors. Thank you.
All right, so it gives you an overview of all the things that are happening for 11th grade. So just a couple pieces. We talk about relationships, the learning environment, and really helping students find their passion and excel and challenge themselves. All this information is on the website. You'll get an email from me with this information, the link to the website. The Skipper log is also online. And so that's new this year. All the information, the courses are there. You can click on videos for certain classes. So if you go to the Skipper log through the registration website, you'll see where it's at. All up to date, everything you need to know. There are some ways to print out PDFs if you'd like a certain page, so you can have a paper copy, but everything's online. Counselors are here. They can answer questions. The counselors will be meeting with 10th graders in a few weeks to go through all of these options. They'll sit down, they'll have time to plan, time to ask questions. They can have a follow-up meeting with their counselor as well, but they'll be up front in just a moment. As Freya mentioned, that there are some dates coming up. The curriculum fair is on February 21st. That's really changed over the past few years where it's really for all grades. And we'll have specific sessions for immersion. If you'd like more details about that and other programs as well. And we'll have a guide and an email within the next week. And then actual registration online through Skyward, March 1st to the 10th. Conferences are in the middle of that, so the chance to check with your child's teacher to ask any questions. They can sign up March 1st at 12:01 or 11:59 p.m. on the 10th. It doesn't matter. We look at all the data right afterwards and build the schedule based on that. So there's not a fixed number of sections. We really base our numbers and sections on what students request. All right. So with that, I want to thank you for coming this evening and taking all the information in. There's a lot, and there are a lot of videos and resources. I really encourage you, 10th grade, out of all the presentations, I think is one of the most critical, if not the most, because of all the options that are open during the last 2 years. So take some time to sit down, look at these materials, the videos, and help your child make the choice that's right for him or her. So thanks for coming tonight. We appreciate it. There's information up front with counselors in a minute, or the tables are open in the back. Safe travels. I tell students we are on school for tomorrow. We'll be regularly start, so no worries there. Thanks for coming tonight.